If you are learning guitar, these are some of the essential riffs that every guitarist should know, especially if you play electric guitar. Whether you're jamming with your friends or you're just playing by yourself at home to some backing tracks and just rocking out at home, wherever you're playing, these are some riffs that are standbys, things that you just need to know. So I'm going to help you figure out some of the basics, how to get those tones out of your amp, and to really have fun with some of these rock and roll songs. So let's get started. The first one is the Van Halen riff of "You Really Got Me." To get a Van Halen tone, you want to turn your distortion up. There are different words for distortion. You could turn the gain up on some amps, and that's going to get you, depending on the amp, they call it kind of a dirty sound, where a clean sound is really light, and it's almost like you're not even playing through an amp. But that dirty sound, you can turn the gain up. You can use a fuzz pedal if you have a modeling amp and it has that option. Overdrive is another word for that. Overdrive is really like if you have a tube amp and you get an overdrive pedal, that's going to give you a little more. That's going to give you a classic rock kind of sound. A lot of the modern high gain amps are going to have more distortion. You can get a distortion pedal. A number of ways to get that tone, but you want it really good and loud, and lots of distortion there. So this first riff is just going from G to A. So you start with your middle finger on the third fret on the sixth string up top, and you just hit that, and you kind of bend it a little bit, and you go back and forth between that A and the G. So now, a word about rhythm. You can learn this stuff from tabs. You know that a lot of tabs on the internet are inaccurate. They've been there for a while, and a lot of times, like if you go on Ultimate Guitar, the ones with the most likes or the most stars aren't necessarily the best. They've just been there the longest, and so you kind of have to look around. I recommend just going to Google, typing in the song that you want to learn, and the title of the song, tab, and PDF. That's going to get you usually a better version of the song. That someone's taken the time to make a PDF of it. It's probably going to be a little bit better. So I would recommend that you do that in order to find the best version that's out there. Now, if you're learning from tabs, it doesn't always tell you where to put the emphasis or the accent on the note. So I recommend to play along with the music. I had a friend who learned by buying cassette tapes. This was back in the day, and he would play a passage, and then he would rewind the tape and play it again, and he learned by ear that way, and he became an incredible guitarist just learning by ear through tapes. Well, there's a lot more tools out there right now. You can go, the paid version of Ultimate Guitar is excellent. You can get more accurate tabs for each song. You get backing tracks with it. If you get this little device known as an iRig, then you can plug in your guitar and plug the other end into your computer, and the Ultimate Guitar site, the paid version, will match your tone with the song that you want to play. So it takes out some of the guesswork. You can hear yourself well. You're not going to annoy your parents or your neighbors or roommates or wherever you are, wherever you're living. So definitely give that a try. It's super cool in terms of what the versatility that it offers, and you get the tones already matched up. So that's the easiest way to go. But if you got your own amp, you want to turn up that gain in order to get this sound. Oh, you can even slow it down on the Ultimate Guitar app. You can also, there's an app called Jam Up, which if you own the song, you can put it in there, and it will allow you to slow it down to a pace that you need, and it'll keep the same pitch. A lot of apps, if they slow it down, it gives you a different pitch, and it's hard to play along with. But Jam Up will let you do that. So those are a few of the tools that are out there. So if you want to play that song by Van Halen, it's just that simple riff going from that G. Now, to do the whole song, there's a few more changes there, and you got the solos and everything. But that one little riff will get you close, and it'll get you there. It's a fun one to know, and it's instantly recognizable. Now, when you're learning rhythm, if you're looking at tabs, like I said, they're not going to give you the accent. I recommend just listening to it, and you can get in this trap of trying to count everything and which strum is down and which one is up. Let me just demonstrate something. If I tell you to clap out a rhythm like you can probably clap that and put the emphasis on the same place that I did without counting how many times that you clap. Well, the same thing is true with guitar. If you don't stress about what's down and what's up and just do it, then you're going to get there faster. Now, you can break it down, but if you're thinking about it too much, then it's going to be hard to do everything at once. It's like if you the first time you try to drive a car, it's impossible to think about all the things you have to think about, like the blinker and looking both ways, and you got the mirrors and you got the gas and the brake, and it's just exhausting to think about. But after you've done it a while, you get to where you can adjust the radio or eat a taco while you're driving, and it's no big deal. Same's true with guitar. If you just hear that rhythm in your head and try to imitate it, then you're more likely to get a result that you really like, and it'll be more musical, even if you're not exactly getting, the down and up strums the way that they're written in some tab. So if we think about that, getting it right or not, let's look at the next one. This is by AC/DC, one of their most famous songs, Thunderstruck. Again, you got the high gain. Now, if you listen to the recording, he's playing that without very much high gain, but he's got a pretty good amp, and so it still sounds really good. And he's using a pick. He's picking those notes to the intro to Thunderstruck. But you can do the shortcut way, which is just to hammer on. And this is a good dexterity exercise for your fingers. That refers to just how good you can flex and move your fingers. And so what you want to do, also this is good practice for hammer-ons and pull-offs. And it just sounds really cool. So if you turn your gain all the way up, you may not match the recording, but it still sounds really cool. So turn your gain up, and when you do that, you kind of have to mute some of the strings. So rest your hand on the strings that you're not playing. We're only going to play the second string here. So rest your hand on there so you don't get a lot of that noise that comes when you're moving around there. You just want that one string to be open, and you don't even really have to pick anything. You pick the open B string once, and then you start playing these other notes. So you're hammering on the 4th fret on the second string. All this is on the second string. Hammer on, pull off. And your pinky goes to the 7th fret. So it's 4 and 7, and when you pull off, you hammer on, you kind of mash it fast, and that makes a tone. When you pull off, if you're not, you can just raise it up, and with the high gain, it might sound okay. But if you need to, some of the pull-offs work better to kind of slide your finger down. So depending on your guitar, it may or may not sound good. But you just hammer on 4, pull off. Hammer on 7 and pull off. Hammer on 4, pull off. Hammer on 7, pull off. And you can get faster with that, but it builds that dexterity, but especially if it's with your pinky. We don't use that finger as much until you start playing guitar, and this is a good exercise for that. Now that's the first part. Then you move that whole thing up 1 fret. So your first finger goes to the 5th fret, and your pinky goes to the 8th fret. It's all in the 2nd string. So we go from the 4th to the 5th. Now that's a fun part. If you've got a friend and you can jam along with, the chords to this, it's a B power chord. So that's first finger on the 2nd fret on the 5th string. These two are on the 4th fret. So on the 3rd and 4th string on the 4th fret, that's your power chord. That's a B right there. So, and then you go A to E. So B, A, E. Kind of fast there. So A is just like this. You got to open 5th string and these 2 middle strings right here. And then to make the E, you just move it up. So that's kind of the rhythm. So your buddy can play that while you play some of the other things. But there's the intro. Now, if you want to get to the fancy part, you're still hammering on and pulling off. You come down all the way down here to the 12th fret, and you got this scale that you're working with. So your notes are on the 12th, the 10th, 9th, and you're kind of sticking to the dots here mostly, but the 12th, 10th, 9th, 7th, 5th, and 4th. And the rhythm's a little tricky. You might, if you just Google Thunderstruck tab PDF, it's going to get you a really good version of that. So it goes like, I'll do it kind of slow. All right, that one's a little bit harder. So look up the tab on that, or you can actually slow this video down if you click the 3 dots in the top right corner on your phone. On YouTube, there's a playback button, and you can slow it down, and you can hear what you can see what I'm doing there a little better. Well, okay, so that's that riff. I want to look at another AC/DC riff, and I'm going to turn the distortion off, or the fuzz pedal off, for this one. It's a little more clean sound. This one's pretty classic. You got to know a little harder here. You got to know some of the chords. So this is an E. So if you know your chords, I like to start with the first finger on the 3rd string on the 1st fret, and then moving up, you put your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret on the 4th string, and your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret on the 5th string, and that's an E. So you do E, you go to D, and so you got 2nd fret on the 1st and 3rd strings, and you put your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, and then A, you just kind of bar this whole thing, and you're just playing the middle 4 strings. So the 5th string is open, and you bar these 2. So that's, and again, I'm not counting that. I hear that rhythm in my head. If you don't, you can count it, but just think bum, ba-da bum, ba-da bum. And the up and down, and it really doesn't matter what you start with. You can still get a good rhythm there, but if you want to do it, I'm doing a down, up, down on that. Instantly recognizable as Back in Black, and then you're working with a pentatonic scale to get that little riff. So your pentatonic scale is 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3 for the E minor pentatonic scale. So we're working with that. So we'll start right here on the 3rd fret, and then you're back into that chord progression. So okay, so start here on the 3rd fret, and then open. So 3rd open, 3rd open on the 2nd string. So that's pretty easy. So 3 0 3 0. You 1st string 3 0, 2nd string 3 0. And then this one you have to bend a little bit. So you're on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, and you bend it. So bend it up, come back down, and then pull off. And remember, when you pull off, you kind of slide your finger down. It's like you're picking it. See, I'm not using this hand. So all together, and then back into it. Well, I get a little lost there. There we go. So that's back in black. Now, when you're bending strings, it helps to have lighter strings. So if you've never changed the strings on your guitar, you should probably do that. If you don't know much about strings, the professionals who are playing out there on the road, they're going to have a new set every time that they play, because the oils in your skin are going to build up on your strings, and it starts to corrode it. They start to rust, and the tone just kind of goes away. So you want to have new strings. If you're going to bend, the lighter the string, the easier it is, especially if you're just getting into guitar and your fingers kind of hurt a little bit. The bends really make it hurt, and they can give you blisters, like the Beatles said in one of their albums. So I recommend really light strings if you're just starting out. And this is what I have on right now. These are 7s. A lot of people play 9s or 10s. These are 7s. So this is like super, super light, but it works, and you can bend. You still get a good sound. I'm playing a Squire. This is like I don't know what they are. It's a $200-$300 guitar. It's entry level, but you can still get good sounds out of it, even with these tiny strings here. So get the lightest strings you can find, and if you don't know how to put them on, look it up on YouTube, how to put strings on. You can do it yourself. It takes a little while, a little tricky depending on what kind of guitar you have. Or you can take it, and most shops will restring it for you, and they'll charge you $10 or something for the restringing plus the cost of the strings. So, but change your strings, especially if they're not shiny like these. If they get dark and rusty, you really need some new strings. If you don't know what size you have, get new strings and get the small ones. It's going to help you bend and sound a lot better there. So that's back in black. Let's see. What else are we going to look at today? All right, so a really famous song. Everybody's always talking about Freebird. If you go anywhere where somebody's playing and there's kind of a lull in it, people start yelling, Freebird! So the solo to that took a really long time to learn the whole thing, but the basic riff is not that hard. So the rhythm, if you got a friend or if you got a looper, you can get apps that will do that. Bias Effects 2 has a good looper built in. GarageBand, if you have an iPhone, has a looper built in, and so you can record yourself. So the G power chord is the first part. So first finger on the 3rd fret on the top string, and then you got your 2 below it here. That's on the 5th fret. That's your G. So bum, bum, bum. You can do down strums or up strums, just as long as you get that. And I'm kind of doing a quick mute in there, but like I said, imitate the sounds you hear. You're going to get a better sound than trying to count it all out or whatever. So that's your first part, and you're going to slide it up 3 frets to where your first finger is on the 6th fret, and these 2 are on the 8th fret. That is B flat. So you're going to go from G on the 3rd, bum, 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 so bum, 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 bum. And that's on B flat. Then you move it up 2 frets again, that's C. So you could also do this up here for B flat and C. I like the tone of the lower strings, so I do it down here. C is up here on the 8th fret and the 10th fret. So that's your first rhythm with those 2 chords, and then you do that whole rhythm again on C. You can do this on bass. You can do it on acoustic. If you got a buddy you're playing with, you can have them play that part. You can even teach them that part and say, hey, you play this, I'm going to do the solo. So, boom. All right, now for the solo, it sounds best if you add a little chorus in there. Your different effects do different things to try and sound like the artist that you're trying to imitate. You add just a little bit of a chorus in there, and what chorus does is it makes it sound like more people are singing the same thing, and so it detunes the notes, but it adds like another layer there, so it sounds like there's more than one guitar playing. Now the first part of the solo to this is pretty easy, and again, it's your pentatonic scale, except you're way down here with the G minor, I believe, is way down here. So on your 15th fret, so you find the 2 dots and you go up 1, 2, 3 from there, is your 15th fret, and you're going to slide into this. So, and you hear that chorus sound. It sounds a little different. So you're sliding into that from the 13th up to the 15th. On the 2nd string, you're going to mash them both down. So you slide up, then hit the 1st string. So just 3 notes there, but that slide. And now you got a good bend. You got to go all the way to the, what is this? 15, 16, 17, the 18th fret. So, so that's your first little part of the solo. And something that's fun to work on that really is a mark of a good guitarist is your ability to do vibrato in a bend. So on that 18th, with your 3rd finger, push it up, and you want to get the pitch. Your pitch is two frets above it. That's a full 1-step bend. If you're looking at the tabs and it has like the arrow and a 1, that means you bend it up 1 step, which is 2 frets on the guitar. So to find what pitch you got to get, move 2 frets above the 18th to the 20th. That's the note you're trying to hit. See, I'm matching that pitch from right here on the 20th. I'm matching it by bending the 18th. And then if you want to, if you're using the light strings, it's pretty easy. So bend it up, and then you do a little, shake it a little like you're turning a doorknob with your left hand, but not until you get to the top. So get the pitch right, and then shake it. You probably want to look up the tab on this one, but that first little part is not as hard as you think it would be. To keep going with the solo, you got some more difficult parts, but that first part, your buddy can be playing the... You can learn that part too if you want, but you can be playing that, and then you go... That's... So you slide up to the 15th, bend the 18th 3 times. And then you come back down and play it the 18th, and then the 15th, and then the 18th again. And then you bend it again, and then you repeat that phrase. Okay, so all together. And then you play the 18th and the 15th. And there, I'm bending it and holding it, and then with my pinky, I'm hitting the 18th on the first string. And so that's the first part to the Freebird solo. Look up the tab. Just remember, you can get the Ultimate Guitar tab, the paid version. There's an official one with a little green star. That one's pretty accurate. You can slow it down and play along with the backing track there. Or you can Google Freebird tab PDF. You can find some pretty good versions there. Got one more thing I want to show you. So everybody knows the Van Halen. I'm gonna put the distortion back on. Okay, so I've got the chorus and the distortion on, so a little bit more here. Everybody knows Van Halen for his tapping. Now, with the tapping, you got some gain up. You're going to want to mute some of the strings, so let your hand rest on the top string so you're not making that noise. Now, the whole Eruption solo, very difficult, but the basic premise of tapping is not all that difficult as you might think. So the first part where he really starts tapping, you want to put your first finger of your right hand on the 9th fret, and that's this note right here. So what I'm doing, I've got my first finger here on the 2nd string. All this is on the 2nd string. So the 2nd string on the 2nd fret. And then you got your pinky on the 5th fret on the 2nd string. And so you tap, you're hammering on really on that 9th fret. So, and you pull off. And so now I'm playing that 2nd fret. So it's, and then you get good at those three things. And you gradually speed it up. And you know, it takes a while to get that timing down, but just you want to make sure each note rings clearly individually. You can, Eddie Van Halen is so good, you can slow it down and each note rings perfectly. He's very clean in his execution there. He can run around the stage and look crazy, but the execution of his notes, very precise. So start slow. You know, if you have an insane setting on, like some of those Line 6 amps have, turn it all the way up and start slow. And you're muting everything else but that 2nd string, 9th fret, 2nd fret, 5th fret. You move it to this finger to the 10th fret, and you can look up the rest of the tab for that, but getting started is not as hard as you might think. And there you have it, some of the greatest riffs of all time on electric guitar. If you want to know more detail about them, look up the tab on Ultimate Guitar, the paid site, or you can go to Google and type in the name, tab, PDF. That's going to get you a pretty good version of the song. If you can afford lessons, that's the best way, because somebody can tell you what you're doing wrong, like, oh, you're holding the pick wrong, or here's how your specific amp works, and here's some things you can do to make that better. A big thing that a lot of new guitarists don't know is that you can adjust the height of the strings from the neck, depending on your guitar, in a number of ways. This part down here, the saddle or the bridge, where on an acoustic it's the saddle, here it's a bridge, where the strings rest. You can adjust these little screws that are inside there, and that'll raise or lower the action, and it can make it a big difference in how easy it is to play. Also, the neck has this piece of metal in it, and called a truss rod, and the little wrench, the little Allen wrench that comes with your guitar, if you buy it new, that's what that's for. And most of them are up here on top. They might have a cover over it. This one doesn't, but you just stick a wrench in there, you tighten it or loosen it, and that's going to bend your neck. And that can adjust your action and really make it easier to play. So if you think your action is too high and making it hard to play, figure out what thickness your pick is, and see if you've got like a 1 millimeter pick. You really don't want more than 2 millimeters at the 12th fret for your guitar. So you can put 2 picks together. If they're around a millimeter, it'll tell you on the pick. A lot of them. This one's 1 millimeter, so I could get 2 of these and put it together and put it between here. If there's any room in there with the 2 picks, then you need to adjust it, because that's going to make a big difference in how you play these songs. So put yourself out there. It takes a while to get used to it, but if you're using the light strings, if you've got the good action, if you take advantage of the apps that are out there, then even just by yourself with no teacher, you can be great in a matter of weeks. It takes weeks. It's not one of those things that you can just pick up and master the next day. It takes a while. So hang in there, keep playing, and you can be great.